Hi, my name is EJ Massa. HBO cut an awesome trailer for all their upcoming shows.
Watchmen, The New Pope, His Dark Materials, and a surprise trailer for Westworld Season 3 with Aaron Paul. Please don't cancel your HBO Now subscription. We still got shows.
Probably won't be as big as this one of the biggest television events of the decade, totally consuming the pop culture landscape. So how'd they do? Fine. They did fine.
Tyrion is walking around the destruction. Must resist urge to stick out tongue and catch an ash flake. They're not snowflakes. He walks past a burned man, who luckily still has his shorts on.
I don't need burned floppy weens in my series finale.
Jon tells Grey Worm, "The beach is overrated." What'd you say? Tyrion grabs a torch, which is strange because usually the torch is the first item you receive in the game. It's not the one you get at the end. He finds Jaime's golden hand sticking out from under the rubble. That's so sad. If they were standing like right here, they would have been fine.
I think this Tyrion grieving scene is a little redundant, and there's something a little silly about it.
Brush away some rocks and oh, it's his dead family. Hey Arya, what happened to the horse? No, seriously, what'd you do with the horse? We spent so much time on this cool shot. Where's the horse? Did this lens flare mean nothing? Tell me what you did with that horse. Jon walks up the stairs with droning music playing, and it's so cool. Oh god, she's the demon lady. Oh, it's just perspective. Oh, perspective can be so scary. Dany holds a Nazi rally which has as much subtle imagery as Scar's song from The Lion King. Is it just me or do Dany's troops keep multiplying? Seems like the more wars she has, the more Dothraki and Unsullied she gets. Not half, as one of the previous episodes declared. Did Unsullied figure out how to reproduce by budding? Dany says to the Dothraki, "Good job." She turns to Grey Worm. Good job. Then she turns to the Unsullied. Good job. You know what I hate? Wheels. Let's break them all. Horse cart wheels, carriage wheels, go-kart wheels. Who needs them? But Tyrion loves wheels. Mario Kart is his favorite game, so he resigns. Which of course is treason. Lots of stuff is treason now. Here's a list of what's treason. So he gets taken away. Arya says to Jon,
I know a killer when I see one.
"Oh geez, what gave it away? Was it the genocide?" Jon goes to meet Tyrion.
Did you bring any wine?
Tyrion runs through the cliff notes of his plot so far. Then he asks Jon, "Jon, it would be great if somehow Dany wasn't queen anymore." "But she is my queen." "Yeah, Jon, I know, but maybe Dany could have an accident and not be alive anymore." "An accident? You're right. The Red Keep should be rebuilt for safety concerns." "Jon, maybe you could make her not alive anymore." Queen? Jesus, the writers made you dumber than me this season. Can you murder her before she murders you and me and your sisters and everyone?
I really like this conversation between Jon and Tyrion. It felt like an old school conversation in Game of Thrones, from the previous seasons. In the newer seasons, I feel like each conversation's like 1 or 2 minutes. They say just enough to move the plot along, and that's it. So it was great to have a meaty and intense conversation.
And I think Kit Harington's performance here is really good. You can feel his conflict. Who goes there? Oh, it's just my boy. Gonna get some smooches from my mama? Oh, nice. I'm too sleepy to watch. Maybe next time. I'll see you smooch later, daddy cousin. Dany's in the throne room, and it's just like her vision from Season 2, with the snow falling and everything. Pretty cool. Jon goes to confront Dany. "Hi, Dany. I think you might be a Hitler, or at least a Mussolini. Plus, you were singing Be Prepared from The Lion King over and over and over again. It's quite disturbing. You called me your favorite hyena. I called you Ed." "Oh, the retarded one? Really? Would you like to participate in genocide with me?" "I guess you are, Mussolini." "Distraction, my queen kiss." Stab. Drogon shows up after Dany's dead. "Oh, I'm mad. Who killed my mama? I know exactly who did it. It was a symbolic representation of the corrupting influence of power. I'm gonna burn the symbols and metaphors. Done me nothing but trouble, those things. Come on, dead mama. Just because you're dead doesn't mean we can't have a good time, flying about and such."
Now Jon could just mosey on out of there. No body, no crime. That's what my dad always told me. "Oh, Dany, she just took a stroll with Drogon. Who knows when she'll be back?" And then you hightail it out of there. But no, Jon goes to prison. Because he probably told on himself. That's such a Jon thing to do.
And that ends the first half of the episode, which was awesome. I thought it was a great mood piece with awesome visuals, score, and acting. I really have to hand it to Emilia Clarke this season. I think this is the best acting she has ever done, at least since season 1.
Now that intense and artful first half is over, we can move on to the second half, which is basically borderline cringy fanfiction.
Grey Worm brings Tyrion to the Dragon Pit, where all the important people who are still alive are. Also, Prince Unnamed Dornman, and this guy who is a man. Important people. Oh, is that Robin Aaron? He's kind of handsome.
Maybe we should stop shaming people for breastfeeding that late. I mean, I made fun of that scene, but maybe you turn out hot. Maybe. We shouldn't judge.
Grey Worm is like, don't speak, prisoner. But if you could, can you please tell me who should be king? Edmure Tully is here. I brought 20 copies of my CV. I'll just pass them around. I hope 20 copies is enough. You'll see that I don't have any specific experience with Adobe Creative Cloud, but I did put down Microsoft Office. Please don't ask me specific questions about Excel, please. But Sam is like, how about we try a bit of democracy? And they all have a good laugh. Even Sansa, who's a bitch. Tyrion says that people who have the best stories should be king, and that person is Bran? Really? I'm pretty sure every one of these lords has a better story than Bran. Even this nameless man. And Mr. Dornman. He's so mysterious. Attention, everybody. Bran's dick don't work. Sansa, that's like personal information I didn't want every lord knowing. That was a private thing that I confided in you. Our founding fathers had like a bunch of continental congresses over many years to figure out their government. These guys are like, fuck it, we can do it in 10 minutes. Write out the Constitution on the back of a bar napkin. These guys are lazy assholes. So Bran is king for some reason, and everyone's cool with that except Sansa, who makes the North an independent kingdom. And Yara and Dornman are cool with staying? You'd think they'd want independence too. Whatever. It's all figured out. And Tyrion is hand of the king because Bran thinks it'd be funny. I think every one of my decisions as king should be a joke. Ha 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 ha. Tyrion breaks the news to Jon that he's banished to the Night's Watch again.
There's still Night's Watch.
That's the smartest, most insightful thing you've said all season, Jon.
Also, if the Night's Watch is in the North, and the North is its own kingdom, can't Sansa just pardon Jon and he can do whatever he wants? Especially because the Unsullied are just fucking off anyway.
None of this makes any sense, but I assume Jon just wants to get away from all this nonsense. The Unsullied are headed off to Noth, which according to Westeros.org, there's butterflies there that give all outsiders the plague. So, R.I.P. Grey Worm, killed by butterflies. Sansa says to Jon, I'm sorry I told everyone about your egg. That's okay. Turns out it doesn't matter much to me anyway. Arya quotes previous seasons because she's pretty much an Arya soundboard at this point.
What's west of Westeros?
Bran notices Jaime's Kingsguard page is pretty bare. She goes into vivid detail about all his adventures. And then, sweating profusely, she intimately describes his technique for one-handed lovemaking. Oh, and I guess he protected his queen, but hold on as I describe his monster dong. The next spin-off show will be a sitcom called Tyrion's Small Council. It'll have lots of jokes about straightening chairs. It'll be a running gag throughout the season, and everyone will think it's so hilarious about his chairs and how he straightens them. So it'll be funny. Oh, and then there'll be hijinks with Bronn ruining the kingdom, and Davos will be trying to desperately forget that Tyrion's wildfire blew up his son. It'll be hilarious.
What's this? A Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, Jesus. Might as well have said, here's my book. It's called Game of Thrones. Now on Blu-ray as well. And Archmaester Sam...
Sam dropped out of Maester's school, and also he has a family. Aren't Maesters supposed to be celibate with no families?
Did King Bran decree, Maesters can bang now? Bran is as engaged with ruling as he is with the plot. You guys have fun now. I'm going to look at the sky and look for dragons. You know, it must be tough with Bran in a wheelchair. I didn't see any handicap ramps. I don't think the Red Keep is ADA approved.
Or soon there won't be no more coin. Anymore.
Davos, I'm so proud of you. What a goofy bunch. Very brave of HBO to invest so much in the sitcom space.
With sitcoms becoming less and less popular, I think there's an opportunity here to stand out in the space. So, I have high hopes for this show.
Anyways, Jon returns to Castle Black, Sansa is Queen in the North, and Arya becomes Christopher Columbus, which is quite fitting for a murderer to transition into a colonialist. And most importantly, Ghost gets a scritch on the head. Oh, he's a good boy.
It's all worth it, guys.
10 out of 10. Perfect episode, perfect series, and a good boy. It's a dream of spring. This is symbolism, to give us hope that someday we'll read this book titled The Dream of Spring. And George will crush it by making 20 blog posts about wildcards. And that, my friends, is the ending to Game of Thrones.
I think this was a solid episode. Especially the first half, which was almost like its own little mood piece.
The music, the visuals, the acting, and directing tell a very specific and compelling narrative, and it really sold the whole thing to me. The second half of the episode, on the other hand, was kind of weak and wrapped things up in a way that was corny, and if you think about it for a second, ultimately falls apart.
However, I don't really mind that we got a not cynical ending. It even charmed me in some ways, even if it was against my better instincts. I didn't really like the road that led up to this episode. It was rushed and rocky, but I'm pretty okay with the finale. This was probably my second favorite episode of the season, with the first being A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. As for the season, yeah, it wasn't the best. I think they could have benefited from a little more time, especially to set up Dany's turn to a totalitarian dictator.
I feel like with Jon Snow, maybe the revelation of his ancestry could have mattered more. They should have at least reckoned with it better, maybe discussed it during that meeting with all the nobles. At the very least, have Jon actually come to terms with it. His heritage was a major mystery on the show, and it really only contributed to Dany going dictator, and it was only a factor out of many factors. And Arya, it's like, I don't know, whatever. I wish they utilized her faceless man skills at least one more time, or at least addressed them. And Bran, while he did become king, maybe even nefariously so because he seemed to expect it or predicted it, I don't think his three-eyed raven skills were used to their full potential either. He was just useless bait for the Night King, and then he was made king.
But the season had some great moments, like the first half of this finale was great, and the scene in the second episode with Jaime and Bran, good stuff. As for the series as a whole, I have to be frank, this series really meant a lot to me. And it was one of those rare franchises that I really connected with. Like, I don't think Lord of the Rings really connected as well for me, and I kind of missed out on the whole Harry Potter thing.
So this was the first franchise I became totally obsessed with, to the point of spending hours upon hours making in-depth reviews of.
It grew up with me. I got through grad school, I changed jobs a few times, I had a kid, I moved, I bought a house. And Game of Thrones was with me that whole time. It changed with me. It's definitely a bittersweet moment. It did feel like a tale of two shows, though. You have the first 4 seasons that felt like an adaptation of the novels.
The characters effortlessly oozed out all of their dialogue and personality. The dialogue in later seasons felt way more flat, and everyone started to almost talk in the same flat way.
The first 4 seasons took their time. They spread themselves out luxuriously and explored interesting avenues organically. Then there's the second half of the TV show, which felt like a TV show. And especially in these later seasons, it felt like it was in service to the ending.
It barreled through plot points and didn't have the time or care to stop and think about it. Which, is probably fine. Because with the realistic limitations of the real world, you can't force these great actors to be on the show for the 12 seasons necessary to have the same pace as the first half of the show.
Something's gotta give. And yes, I'm sure they could have made better choices along the way. But I think it would feel rushed regardless. I think what we got was great, and I think that the great good parts outweigh the subpar parts, but in the end I do vastly prefer the straightforward adaptation seasons. I'm truly grateful for this show and the hours and hours of entertainment and all the thought-provoking conversations that it spurred on. As for me, I'm not sure what my next project will be. I'm not going to make the mistake of promising something and not delivering it. Maybe, if George R.R. Martin releases his next books, I'll review those in some form. Maybe I'll review the spin-offs if there's enough interest, or if they are interesting in themselves to be reviewed. I don't know, what would you like me to review? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll promptly ignore it and make 10,000 videos about ribs. Until next time, bye!